Good morning, welcome. Good to see everybody in the room, streaming from Sydney, Mumbai and Perth. Guys, the purpose of today, there's three things we want to get through. We want to get feedback from the last session, how you're bringing this to life, how everyone's gone out there and used some of these methodologies in your projects. We really want to make this an open conversation that's relevant to what you're doing. So we want to get that and have a bit of an open forum around that. Secondly, we want to look at applying this to one project you've got on the go at the moment. So using a real life example, is that cool? Can we pick one of those and we'll put it up on the board and we'll work through it together and just look at some of the thinking behind it? And thirdly, the next steps that we're going to take, what we're going to do differently, other ways of thinking about processes and systems within project management. And we're going to try and get all of that done in 2 hours. What I want to know is, to make this really effective, to make this a great 2 hours together, what do we need to bring? Like, what does everyone need to contribute?
Ideas, voice, whatever.
Ideas, voice, whatever. Yep, cool. What else? What do we need to bring to make this great? Because it needs to come from you guys for me to be able to facilitate it.
Honest feedback.
Honest feedback, yeah, absolutely. Guys, be completely honest. What's working, what's not. We're here to get results, here to get it done. Yeah, let's just bring it through. What else do we need to bring? I'd like to hear from the web. That would be cool. Sydney, how you doing?
So I think feedback and ideas are a big thing.
Cool.
And then obviously also constructive criticism as well to how we can make everything flow much more better.
Beautiful. Let's do it. I'm going to sit down and we're just going to do questions. We're going to start moving the conversation around what's been happening. Guys, what are you noticing since the last session? Can we go around the table? I know we went through ESIP and we looked at bringing people. One of the key things was bringing the big why and the purpose of each project to people that wouldn't know that usually. I'm wondering, have you guys used this at all? What are you noticing that's different? What's been happening? It's been too long. I've missed you.
Yeah, I think it's too early to tell, really. I've only had one new project. It's still in its infancy, so I can't even remember what the I stands for. I know it was
Implementation.
Oh, there you go.
That's where you usually live.
Yes. I was mainly focused on the environment, to be honest.
Cool.
And I was just trying to focus on one stage at a time. So,
how are you using this to communicate with your team, like we discussed?
Well, I haven't implemented it that much, to be honest, but my idea is to try and change the tonal language with the team when they're starting the project. So I haven't got to that point to see change.
Sure.
But, that's what my focus will be on.
Okay, so your focus is to change the language from the start with the team. Can you explain how you'll do that?
Well, I need to, I guess, reflect on how I usually do things, and if there are weaknesses there against your sort of outline of what the environment is, and making sure there is clear understanding, and I have been communicating clear expectations rather than just making assumptions and letting it all flow through like, standard.
Sure. How do you communicate clear expectations with them?
Well, when you start the project, you obviously go through what you've done and talk about what effort you've put into it and what the expectations are of the client and what they need to bring maybe over and above what they usually do. Just maybe talk about the end result you're after.
What you're actually creating?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What it means to the client.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and how important it is to sort of adhere to the outline or direction that I'm going to provide.
Okay, and how's that in contrast to what you're doing before?
Well, that's a good question. So it's a bit early, but so I guess it's more maybe less assumptions and inherent sort of expectations, or assuming that they would just take all that on board without needing to talk about it every time.
Great.
Maybe.
That's a great distinction, isn't it? Because, rather than assuming that everyone on the project knows what you've got in your head as the outcome, as the vision, being able to language that and show them that through those steps of, vision, mission, values, standards, this is what we're creating. Starting with the outcome in mind first and languaging that really well so that when they're in the detail, they still have a view of that picture. So they're able to, be flexible and dexterous to move around and to move it towards that vision. I'd really be excited to hear the difference in results. I know it's early. view, but the distinction is really the difference between not articulating that vision and the outcome and articulating it clearly with the whole team. Is that correct? Cool. What's the project that you're doing?
Kitchens. They do build kitchens. Kitchen design.
Yeah.
Company.
Okay. Cool. We'll come back to that. Maybe we'll use that as the example today. Can we keep going? I'd love to hear how you guys are using this or what you've noticed. Really, this is about what you're noticing through this methodology in communicating with your teams, the differences and the contrast before what you were doing before. Who's up next? Who would like to go?
For lack of other volunteers, I will. My situation's a bit different to Jason's because Jason's mainly working on the client stuff, whereas I focus a lot on internal organisation.
Great.
What I did is I took a different sort of look at our systems and the structures that we've got in place with our current offerings. So our offerings have been changing over the last couple of years, and a previous session identified, got me to focus on, was that we'd lost part of the focus on all of the environmental factors that we previously had in our other offerings. So I've had a discussion with some of the key people over in Mumbai and changed the documents to try and bring back a little bit of that approach.
Okay.
So putting into the job file the information that we previously did when we scoped out custom solutions.
Okay.
Because the job file is being used for things that aren't scoped anymore. They're package deals.
Okay, can I get a bit of clarity around this? You've been putting out offers now, or previously, is one contrast, and it didn't have what you're creating, the outcome listed, the environment. It was just a job card, or?
Yeah, pretty much. The way that we're kind of skipping a lot of the environmental stuff that I found when I had a look at how packages are generally done. It's kind of assumed that is sorted out in the early stages by someone else, and we kind of just put together
the details.
Yeah. And try and do it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so this is a really important point to make, and it's awesome that we bring this up. You guys have got to work with teams, which is a leadership thing. You've got to inspire and lead teams, or you can manage them. And management is, here's a list of tasks. I'm going to check in with you. I'm going to make sure you've done task 1 through to 26 and check up on your work. Where it goes from project management to project leadership is this ability that you've got here, that you've changed to be able to have the environment. And by environment, we mean the outcome, the why, the purpose. You'll notice today I started with the purpose of today, and I started with what we'd like to achieve as the outcome, what it looks like, and start from there. So everyone knows that, so everyone can move towards that, rather than going, here's your list of 20 tasks, go inspire yourself. And everyone's just doing tasks. And then you get silos. You get people just working on this one little thing, and they're not drawn together around this actual goal, which if you're able to bring people together with language around the why, the outcome, how do you think that's going to affect your team? I'll just put it out there.
Or they'll be more focused on the successful outcome rather than...
They'll be focused on the successful outcome rather than ticking boxes. Yeah, what else?
They will probably be already doing, or at least thinking about things that you would otherwise have to, explain them, tell them to do.
Absolutely. They're smart cookies. So they'll be thinking about things that you potentially haven't thought about, that they're better at, because there will be things that they know. So they know the outcome. They can think of other creative and awesome, innovative ways to get there. So now you've brought in this area of thinking that you didn't have before when you just go task 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Really good point. What else? Why is it really important to bring people up to this level of thinking? We have 2.
Well, an obvious one is when they see that what they're doing is contributing to successful outcomes, they're going to be more motivated.
Spot on. When they see that they actually, what they're doing, all of these tasks, has a purpose and an outcome, they'll be more motivated, they'll be happier, and they'll work better. Guys, how much better do you work on anything when there's a purpose that you've got clear in your mind of something you're creating? There's been countless studies done on this where they would take someone and they would go, okay, you've got to build this Lego Biotron little robot thing. And they would have someone there and go, we'll give you $5 every time you build it. And so they build one, they give them $5. Then in front of them, they demolish it and throw it away. And they build one, they give them $5, they demolish it. And after about half an hour, they start giving them half that, and then half that, and half that. And they track how long they keep building these things that get destroyed. And they measure this, they get another group in, and they build them, and then they put them aside carefully, like that, and put them in a box and say, oh, they're going to go to charity. So they actually have a purpose behind what they're doing. It gives them, a reason for it. It gives them the contribution. It gives them something bigger than themselves. And they can see that clearly. 10 times longer they stay there with half the pay because they have an actual purpose in mind. They're not just ticking a list with something that they have a total disconnect from. Is this making sense? If you have a connection to the outcome of what you're doing, you have a vested interest in making sure it happens in the best way. You take pride. You take, passion's great, but purpose always outlives it. Because passion's, quite fleeting. It's something that comes and it's an emotion. Purpose is a reason. So yeah, their main reasons about bringing them around purpose. So going back to what you were saying, now with the job cards, you're including the outcome, what you're building. Are you guys doing this as well? Is anyone in a similar situation?
This will be for all of the team.
Fantastic.
So it's a general template that we use.
Yeah, okay, and you're facilitating that. That's cool. That's great. I'd really love to see. Have you noticed any changes so far from that?
Early days.
It's too early, yeah. Look, email me, let me know. I'd love to see the difference, particularly from the team. I mean, when we talk about culture, you can't have a culture unless you rally people around a vision or an outcome. You're just taking a walk and making sure people are not stuffing up. Really, the culture you want is innovation, purpose, contribution, all of those good things.